Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on Now. O.J. Simpson gets out on parole. We'll give you those details, but also got us thinking, what happens to prisoners after they get out as far as going back to work? We'll talk about that. We'll hear from some Mainers on that too. And the cancer diagnosis, obviously not easy for the person who hears it, but what about the family? We're talking to a Maine family. And some good news with some kids painting some rocks to just bring some cheer and joy into their communities. This is News Center Now.
My vote is to grant your parole effective when eligible.
O.J. Simpson will be free to leave prison in just a few months. Simpson was granted parole today after serving 9 years in prison for robbing a sports memorabilia shop in 2008. Of course, many people remember when he was on trial for the murder of his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman. In 1995, he was acquitted. Simpson could be released as soon as October. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill. And I'm Lee Goldberg. Now, while Simpson is well known and will likely have a lot of resources to pull from when he eases back into society, what happens to the average person who's just trying to get back to life after being locked up? News Center's Chris Costa shows us a one-of-a-kind program that helps them transition.
Jeff Walston-Hume is a painter.
I've been incarcerated, a few times.
He's also in recovery from past use of heroin.
When I got out, I didn't know where I was going to live, how I was going to make money.
Getting hired with a criminal record can be difficult.
It's still hard, when they do a background check just to see that you even have drug possession on your record.
Just mostly theft.
Mackie Bedard has been in and out of prison for 14 of the last 18 years, unable to hold down a steady job.
I'd get out of jail, try to find a job. They asked the question, are you a felon? And they asked for all the details, and you don't get a call back.
Through the program Maine Works, former inmates like Jeff and Mackie have not only found recovery, but secured jobs and housing.
Without specific support, these guys will absolutely fail. And those are the statistics. That's why I say yes.
Founder Margot Walsh sets them up with clothes and work boots so they can be ready to work for local companies all over the state.
You've been through the valley of darkness. What do you need to get out?
Exactly, that's what the program's all about.
For people like Jeff and Mackie, it's that support that has helped them stay clean and out of prison.
I have a routine now, whereas before it was just pure chaos. It's peaceful because I don't have to worry about anything but just painting whatever it is that I'm painting.
I'm going to work for somebody that cares about me. I feel needed. Smell that right there.
Now, Walsh says if these people do relapse, they are removed from work.
However, many have the chance to return if they complete appropriate recovery methods.
There's a possibility I might change my mind.
Governor LePage or Senator LePage? The governor says a Senate run could be in his future. He's been back and forth on the issue before, at one point saying he won't run. But today he told WGAN Radio that he's feeling the pressure to take on U.S. Senator Angus King.
He brought home the Stanley Cup again, and he's back in the spotlight again. Biddeford's own Brian Dumoulin was honored in Augusta today for helping the Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup. Dumo, a key part of the Penguins' defense last year.
All right, since we're on the topic of hockey, which actually feels kind of nice on this humid, gross day, the new ECHL team coming to Maine is looking for a name, by the way.
Yeah, the team's going to start playing games in the fall of 2018, but today officials announced kind of a name the team contest. So not only did we ask you guys, we caught up with some current and former pro hockey players from our state to get their thoughts.
Wow. Maine Mariners.
Danny, I'm with you 100%.
Maine Mariners.
1,000,000%. What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Oh God, I was gonna say Mariners, but it's probably someone's got it trademarked or something. But
like yourself, I'd say the Mariners again, but I would probably go the Maine Navigators.
Western guy from Manitoba, I'd have to probably go with Jets.
Jets.
New Jetport.
But the real answer is
Maine Mariners.
I like the Voyagers or something like that.
All right.
Well, we got the Maine Red Claws, right? So, I mean, lobster's taken care of. So, let's say maybe the Portland Chowder. I don't know. That's all I can CHOWDA.
Well, there you go. And many of you have some ideas for the team's new name. Kate says it should be the Nor'easters.
Kathy says the Portland Puffins.
Scott says, no, not that one. The other Portland.
Here's one kind of for you, Lee. Donald says they should be named the Portland Goldbergs.
Okay, I totally agree with that. And here's how you can send in your suggestions. If you'd like, just go online. It's portlandmainhockey.com. Now, if your name wins, you win 4 season tickets to the inaugural season, a team-signed jersey, and you get to be a part of the ceremonial puck drop on opening night. Name suggestions will be taken until August 14th.
Okay, this is one of the biggest events in the state, certainly the flagship event of the year for Yarmouth, the Clam Festival, and it's expected to attract a lot of people to the area this weekend. We will be there. Well, by the way.
Where else would we be? We'll be there tomorrow, bringing our show on the road, of course, in case you're wondering. But before we go to the festivities, we hit the Clam Festival or the Clam Flats to get the real, literal dirt.
Well, look around today. Who wouldn't want to be out here today working, right? It's beautiful. And you, I guess you're your own boss. You can come and go. If you don't like who you're dealing with, you find somebody else, you work it out.
Beautiful as it was today, the life of a clam digger isn't exactly glamorous. So many elements could impact the population, making it difficult to collect clams. And when there are more clams, the value goes down and diggers are paid less for their work. So we're talking to some locals about the ebbs and flows of the industry. And does the Clam Festival actually have an impact on the local guys? We'll find out tomorrow when we go live from Yarmouth.
We'll both be there tomorrow. You'll be there Saturday for the clam shucking contest with Rob Nesbitt, defending champ,
Thanks,
not
buddy.
defeated champ. And I'll be there Sunday for the Diaper Derby, my favorite event of the year.
Most importantly, though, Friday, we will be live. We will be out of the studio.
You know what that
so
usually
Keith,
means.
What does that mean for weather?
See, what had happened was we actually didn't plan this one ahead of time, so we're in good shape. It actually looks pretty nice tomorrow. A little hot, though. We could be 86, 87 tomorrow when we're out there, but that's summer, right? Current temperatures in the 70s. You can see that sea breeze has kicked in a big way along the immediate coastline into the 80s further inland. We've seen some showers and thunderstorms out there, and dew points are still high, 70 apiece in Freiburg into Sanford as well, and 68 in Lewiston. All right, here's the thunderstorms. Most of the action has been over York County. I just tweeted something out. Beach day is over here because we've got quite a few thunderstorms rolling in to some very popular beach locations. More thunderstorms to the north. This one just coming into Waterville. It's not severe. It wouldn't shock me if there's a little small hail associated with this, and certainly there is lightning being detected. These storms heading towards Lincoln have fizzled as of last check, and a few more storms across Aroostook County. So watch those the rest of tonight. Showers and thunderstorms heading towards down east after midnight. Tomorrow we start with sunshine and we are blazing, especially along the coastline. We have a west-northwest wind that's a downsloping, drying, warm wind, so I'll take the over on 85 in Portland, and I'll probably take the over on 89 in Freiburg. I think we'll see some low 90s and even upper 80s right along the immediate coastline. Guys, one of the biggest anomalies here tomorrow as far as average probably be Rockland and Bar Harbor. They'll be about 85 apiece, which for them is pretty hot.
Yeah, that's not bad. All right. Coming up, Senator John McCain is diagnosed with a rare form of cancer.
Yeah, we're talking to a family who is dealing with a cancer diagnosis themselves.
We're taking your questions for the expert. What do you want to know about the issue? And helping yourself or a loved one deal with a potentially deadly diagnosis. That's coming up on News Center Now. Here's a feel-good story for you today, a fun project people are taking part in.
Yeah, so here's how it works. If you find a rock, you paint it, then you put it in another place, like a park or a playground. This is going on in a few different communities in Maine and in some other states as well. Jamie Jameson started Sopo Rocks in South Portland, and the group's Facebook page has gone from 5 members to 217 in less than a month.
It's kind of like a kindness project. It's just kind of spreading art and joy, and I mean, who doesn't smile when they see children's artwork? So it's pretty cool to find it on a rock when you're just out and about in South Portland or out and about in your community.
I was actually with some neighbors and I found this very colorful rock, and I wasn't sure if one of the moms had put it there because like one of the kids had did it in like a project in school or something. So I just left it there, and then later that night Maddie had told me that they had started doing this Sopo Rocks thing, and then later that night we started painting a lot of rocks.
Because when when they pick one up, they're going to have a good day.
Yes, they are, Ian. You can find some of the pictures on the Facebook page, SoPo Rocks, and post yours using the hashtag SoPo Rocks. There are some rules, though. The rocks have to fit in your hand, so they're fairly small. Only hide the rocks where it's appropriate, like not on personal property or sidewalks or in spots where lawnmowers would usually go. And you make sure you ask if you want to hide the rock inside of a building, like an airport. And be careful where you find your rocks. Some rocks have to stay where they are. For example, rocks that are in state parks.
All right, coming up, how do you cope when someone you love is diagnosed with an illness?
We will take a look at that issue in just a few minutes.
Plus, Keith's full forecast.
All right.
What do you think of it today? You don't like it. I know you don't like it.
Well, because I'm serious.
But you don't like the cold either. What are you about?
No,
you about the fall life?
But this is why I live in Maine, because it's, for the most part, it's not too cold and it's
Monday
not too
we're
hot.
going to be in the 60s, so we can,
yeah.
that's what
This'll
we get.
pass. I don't mind this. I don't mind this because it's short.
I'm okay with hot.
Yeah.
I don't like humidity.
Yeah, but they almost never unhinge in New England. But when was the last time it was 90 and not humid? Like maybe occasionally.
You got to go to Arizona.
Occasionally in September.
You're on the wrong side of the country. You got to go over there. You got to go left.
Anyways, we're done harassing Amanda about her what she likes in the weather. 88 officially today in Portland. 90 in Sanford. I thought we might get to around 90, and that's just about where we ended up. Some thunderstorms battering York County here. This round particularly was a little bit strong. I wouldn't be surprised if it put down some hail just north of Portsmouth there. Looks like they're waning, but a few more back into Laconia here, up 93 in New Hampshire. We'll watch those. A couple of other thunderstorms about to go into Waterville, one on each side. This is originally one cell that split into two cells. It's become a multicellular storm as it moves towards the highway there on 95. And then to the north, Aroostook County seeing some good thunderstorms. This one right here, north of Patton, has a little bit of a hail signature to it as well. All right, front comes through tonight, more showers and storms. Tomorrow morning, we clear out quickly, and we are on the west-northwest wind, which is a very warm wind direction for Maine because it fights off the naturally occurring sea breeze. So hot tomorrow. I actually think it'll be warmer tomorrow for a lot of us than it was today. A little bit less humid, so that'll help, but ultimately it will be warmer nonetheless. Let me go back. I didn't want to go through that graphic yet. Then as we end into Saturday, we're in good shape, a partly sunny day. And on Sunday, a storm is going to miss just to our south. So we'll watch southern Maine and see if we have to include some additional cloud cover on Sunday. But at this point, I'm playing it as a pretty nice day overall. All right, here are the showers and storms tonight. They wane by around 10:30, 11 o'clock. Tomorrow morning, down east starts with some fog. The rest of us are sunny, though, through the entire day. And again, it's hot along the immediate coastline. Really good beach day if you can call out tomorrow, whatever you want to do to get tomorrow off. Thunderstorms pop up over northern Maine, but they don't get to the coastline where it stays in the 60s and then right back up on Saturday into the low 80s for highs. Pretty comfortable weather there. Here's what we're looking at tomorrow. I think we'll get to 89 in Portland, 90 in Sanford again, 90 in Freiburg, and 90 in Lewiston. So a big corridor here of warm temperatures, specifically to Rockland and Bar Harbor, as I mentioned. Kind of unusual for them to get so warm. But as Lee alluded to, because he was listening to me yesterday, which I appreciate, we've got a trough coming in for Monday and Tuesday. So that will be a significantly cooler air mass in place. And I think next week overall isn't all that warm. So if you don't like the heat, this too shall pass. We end up in the 60s for highs on Monday and Tuesday. They're kind of garbage days too. They're showery with a lot of clouds around. And then Wednesday and Thursday we recover as far as there being more sunshine and temperatures get back into the 70s. But I don't see anything in the forecast that has us back into the upper 80s or lower 90s, guys, at least for a little while.
Hi, Keith. Thank you very much, sir. Imagine learning somebody close to you has a disease that could kill them.
Yeah, that's tough. Families deal with it every day, though, and that includes Senator John McCain's family, who learned he's fighting a rare brain cancer.
Now, his daughter, Meghan McCain, tweeted an emotional statement from the family, saying in part, "It won't surprise you to learn that in all of this, the one of us who is most confident and calm is my father. It's a reminder that the diagnosis can sometimes be just as difficult for family members as it is for the person fighting the disease." News Center's Tennyson Coleman met a woman who learned how to deal with her husband's really scary cancer diagnosis.
That's right. You never want to find out that your family member is diagnosed with cancer. Marianne Crawford knows that firsthand and shares what it feels like to watch her husband fight such a horrible disease. Finding out your loved one has cancer can be one of the scariest moments of your life.
The first thing you think is, oh my gosh, my husband's going to die.
When Marianne Crawford's husband David was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 7 years ago, she had no idea what to expect. And the bad news didn't stop there for this Yarmouth couple. A year later, David was also diagnosed with melanoma. Eventually, her reaction to it all even surprised her.
When I run into friends or even family, the question is always, how's David doing? And sometimes it felt like, wow, well, what about me? Doesn't anybody care about me?
Marianne needed help to know how to support her husband and herself.
One of the first things I did was call the Cancer Community Center because they have a buddy program, and I wanted to talk to somebody who was a caregiver who had a spouse with cancer.
The Crawfords found comfort in the Cancer Community Center in South Portland. Crawford realized her feelings were normal, and at times she didn't know what to say to make her husband feel better, but he says sometimes the best thing to say is nothing at all.
I felt like she didn't even have to say anything. Just be there if I wanted to say something or have a conversation.
Sometimes just being there for your loved one is more than enough. Ultimately, asking for help can go a long way in helping you and your loved one cope.
Asking for support or help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength.
Now, Marianne Crawford says being physically active is a great way for not just the cancer patient to cope, but also family members. She suggests doing yoga, exercising. It won't change the situation, but it can help take your mind off of the diagnosis.
That's some great advice, Tennyson. Thank you very much. All right, let's go over to Amanda, who's got more on this issue.
All right, thanks, Lee. Joining us now, Molly Stewart with the Cancer Community Center in South Portland. Molly, thank you for coming in and talking with us.
Of course, my pleasure.
So when you get that diagnosis, as a loved one, your first reaction, I'm sure, is, I need to be there for that person. But how important is it to also have a person for you?
It's incredibly important, and I think it's also important to remember that each family is very different, and family systems can be very complex. So a cancer diagnosis can be a very shocking event for a family, especially when families are maybe dealing with other complex issues as well. So, you know, it's really dependent on where that family's at, but I think it's incredibly important for every member of the family to receive the support, whether it's from friends, family, neighbors, or from support centers like the Cancer Community Center or the Dempsey Center.
On that note, I think the idea there is to offer these free programs for people. What sort of programs are out there for people, and how do they help?
So the Cancer Community Center offers a variety of programs that is aimed at supporting people's quality of life as they go through their cancer experience. And it's available for loved ones, both caregivers and friends and family members. We offer programming like movement activities and meditation, support groups, and educational opportunities. And in everything that we offer, there's an element of peer support, meaning that you'll have an opportunity to talk to somebody else who's been through something similar, because there's nothing like talking to somebody who's on that same road or a similar road to really feel understood and heard and get some good tips and tricks about what worked for them.
That said, you just get that diagnosis. What is the best thing you can say to a family, to a patient, when they get that diagnosis?
You know, I don't have any magic words. I really wish I did. And I think we all wish we had those magic words that would give that person the comfort that you want to give them. But what you can do is you can genuinely be there for them. You can be present with them. You can, maybe it's you touch their hand, maybe it's you express how upset you are about this diagnosis and that you don't really know what to say. That you're really being present with them, and I think that that will translate no matter how much you fumble your words.
All right, Molly Stewart with the Cancer Center in South Portland. Thank you so much, Lee.
All right, guys, thank you. A nightmare situation for a single mom might actually have a glimmer of hope. As we showed you yesterday, Heather Coulomb of Lewiston paid $1,100 to rent an apartment for she and her children. She says it turned out to be a scam. Police are investigating. Now, an attorney from Boothbay Harbor was watching our story, and today he stepped up, offering to give the family $1,100 to find a new place to live. He's also willing to pursue legal action against the scammer free of charge. The attorney does not want to be publicly identified, but we will continue to follow Coulomb's story. Coming up on News Center, we are taking a look at the connection between the bubonic plague and the environment.
All right, today's Brain Drops relates a little bit to what we talked about yesterday, which was the best way to reduce CO2 emissions was less people. Forget about the baby aspect, less people. Well, interesting kind of unrelated study that they just released a couple of days ago. So they went back and they used these ice cores to find a number of different things about the atmosphere in the past. And one of the things they were looking for was lead in the atmosphere. So lead is, for the most part, not naturally occurring in the actual atmosphere itself. It's only out there because people have been mining it for thousands of years, whether it be by hand or doing it in an industrial fashion. So what they found was, this is going back 2,000 years, they found there was a huge drop-off where there was almost no lead present in the atmosphere. And it corresponded exactly with the Black Death, the plague that went through much of Europe and parts of Asia. And so what they basically figured out was during this time period, because of the rapid reduction of population and the fact that nobody had time for anything but trying to survive, they stopped mining. And you can see that here in the graph. And the other dip you see, by the way, is when we started to try to abate that in our process of mining, which happened relatively recently. So you see a drop at that point too. So it's kind of an interesting little idea of what the Earth tries to settle back to when people don't influence it quite as much.
I got it. So the general theme here is if we just had less people, everything would be fine.
Right. This is
people are ruining everything.
This is a stat off of that. It took 200,000 years to get 1 billion and 200 years